Hello Internet, this is Arch. First little heads up, I've made two versions of this video, the full length one that you're currently watching, and the TL will squiggly dead whatever that is DW version, otherwise known as Too Long Didn't Watch, where I'll literally just get straight to the point of the guy without explanations. Click this link or the one in the description to go to that video if long format isn't your style. So to start out, I'm going to explain what exactly we're aiming for here with all this. If I've remembered to be a good editor this time around, I'll actually have put a bunch of names and numbers on screen. These are what I'm choosing to call date values. Date rates was a consideration, but it doesn't sound wholesome, and obviously their corresponding characters next to them. Aeris starts with 50, Tifa starts with 30, Yuffie starts with 10, and Barret starts with a whopping great 0. So essentially this guy will help you turn these values into this. It's an uphill struggle to bring Barret's value higher and everyone else's lower except Yuffie, who didn't stand a chance to begin with. Hopefully this highlights why it's important that you do everything in this video point for point. So, with the boring number stuff out of the way, let's get started. Starting off very easy, buy the flower from Aeris. I'm not calling her Aerith, it's Aeris in this version, just to deal with it. When you're on the train and after Jessie's done bending your ear about the marvels of trains and security scanners, talk to her again, and whatever she says, tell her you're looking forward to it. This will somehow lower Tifa's value by 3. Continue as normal and you'll get to 7th heaven. When you're prompted to give a flower to someone, make sure it's Marlene. This will help you get in good with her daddy by 5 points. Almost immediately after that, avoid all contact with Tifa. Just don't talk to her at all, not if you can help it. Just go straight downstairs, carry on as normal. Talking to her will raise her value back up, which is, as I said before, what we're trying to avoid. Shortly after, when Cloud's leaving the bar to have a bit of a sulk, Tifa will stop you. When prompted, say sorry in the most I didn't really mean it kind of way, and then after that in a flashback you'll wake up in the bar. When you're getting ready to leave, make sure you talk to Tifa first or you'll lose your chance to rag on Barret's snoring. When added to the lady avoidance and the heartfelt sorry from earlier, this will net you another 5 points for hashtag Team Barret. This part's pretty standard. You can't really screw it up unless you're doing it on purpose. You just have to make it to the end of the train without getting caught out by the security guards. As I said, super easy, even with this tosser pickpocketing you. Managing this will get you a further 5 points for both Barret and Tifa. Yes, sometimes getting points for the girls is unavoidable, it's just how it works, unfortunately. Some ways away from the last step, once you've finished fighting everyone's favourite slow-turning, long counter-attacking boss Airbuster, Barret will ask you if you're alright, to which you have to respond, be strong, which will net you another 2 Barret points. Then fall off the bridge. It's that easy, it's almost like it's not even part of the whole guide or anything like that. Somehow forgetting who Aeris is or calling her a slum drunk doesn't affect anything in this section, but screwing up with how you're supposed to save her from the Shinra soldiers does. I'm going to just stop the guide here for a second. Now, depending on how this section works, this could just be a regular minus 3 points for one of the girls, or it could be the first big hit we get on the major threat being Aeris. Let's put up the final values again real quick. Now, you see how Aeris' final value is 37? Well, if this section works like I want to believe it does, it should be 31, and here's why. For this step, we need to do a bunch of things. We need to tell Aeris to wait, we then need to knock down the wrong barrel, which forces her to fight. Doing this will knock her down by 3 points, so reasonably you could assume that minus 3 points per barrel will end up with a net loss of 9 points for Aeris, if that's how it works. However, as you can see by the unaltered values, even if it doesn't work like that, you should still be fine by the end of all this if you've done it all right. Just as an aside. Also, if you're wondering which ones are the wrong barrels, here's a quick show of the order you don't want to push them in. That order will potentially lose you the date with Barret. Any other order is fine, however. Cool. Glad we can get that down. Back to the less numbersy bit. I tend to almost trip over this bit by accident a lot, but when you get back to Aeris' house and she asks you if Tifa is your girlfriend, you tell her yes. This will land you a sizable loss of 5 points to Aeris. Then, later on, you have to offer to take her home. Nothing could be more simple and it'll affect no values at all. Yay! Taking the other one gives Aeris points, so definitely don't do that. This next step could be a tricky one for those of you who've never been able to get into Don Corneo's weird-looking torture sex dungeon, but don't worry, I'm here to help you, so let's get on with it. So, provided you've already found out where Tifa is, it's here. You'll need to get in there. So in the interest of time, here's a quick version of how you want to approach this. So go to this bar, talk to this guy, and he'll ask you what you want in the dress. You want the soft and shimmery options, which will get you the silk dress. Then go to this shop, talk to this guy who wants you to go to this inn, stay the night, buy the most expensive thing on the list, go back, get the diamond tiara. Then go to this diner and sit down, ask for today's special or whatever, it doesn't really matter, and then tell them it was alright. Take the coupon they give you to this pharmacy and choose the digestive option, which you then have to give to this lady in the bar from earlier, and she'll give you some sexy cologne for your trouble. Then go talk to this guy here and get his member's card for the Honeybee Inn. When inside, go to the room up in the left corner, the one that looks like Hubert threw up on it. After whatever the hell this is, you'll get the lingerie. Get your face did. It doesn't really do anything, just do it for you, You're worth it. So now you've done that, you've pretty much got everything you need to sway Dornio's affection. or a word that rhymes with affection anyway. All that's left is the wig, and if you're not very good at the squats minigame, I suggest saving before you try going for it. The blonde wig is pretty important for the whole ensemble. So provided you've done all that, you should now be in the Don's totally consensual funhouse, and you found Tifa, and all that's left is getting chosen by the Don, which shouldn't be too hard if you just followed all those steps I just told you. So now you've been nominated to shake hands with the little Don. He'll ask you if you're alright, reply with and then if he asks if there's someone else, tell him it's Barret. Doing so will get you another 5 points on your Barret card. Then, when it turns out the Don doesn't like guys, even effeminate cutie pies like Cloud, he'll toss you into the sewers like yesterday's turtles. I've got this bit in the sewer marked off as a step, even though it doesn't matter. Basically, whichever one you talk to first gets points. I opt for Tifa, since by now she's far enough behind that it doesn't even matter. Later on, after you've done just a beautiful job letting Sector 7 succumb to the perils of gravity, you'll wind up back at Aeris' house. When there, head upstairs and talk to Barret and Marlene. She'll tell you Aeris thinks you're a total babe, and you'll want to say, I don't know, to which you're called stupid by a 4 to 6 year old girl. Your hero, everybody. So, there's a whole lot of game between this step and the next one, so here's some footage of me using the triple speed feature in the PS4 to get up the stairs in Shinra Tower, set to Chocobo Medal.
So you think you can ride this chocobo? Got choco, but you better put 'em on the choco. Settle up if you think you can ride in this rodeo. You know, I don't know till the terms are wrong.
So eventually you'll wind up talking to Red 13. When prompted, ask Barret to look after Aeris. After the fight with, you know, that, whatever that is, you have to make a party with Barret and Red 13. This will get you another 2 Barret points. You'll actually want to make this your party any time it's an option before the date happens, because whenever you make a party, anyone in the party you've made who has a date value will increase by 1 point. Red 13 not being an option doesn't get affected, but having him prevents the 2 girls from raising theirs. Eventually you'll wind up in prison, you know, like eco-terrorists do. When you're in here, talk to Tifa, and when she asks you if you can break out, respond with it's going to be kinda tough. Turns out Tifa's not really into that whole self-deprecation thing and loses a bit of respect for you, and a point. When you're given the option to think about people though, think about Barret first, then Red 13, and then whoever's left. Go about your business until you escape from Midgar. When doing so, obviously always make sure to make Barret and Red 13 your party. It's a bit of a long haul to the next few parts, but once you're in calm and you've come out the other end of Cloud's past, Barret will get a bit ticked off. Tell him to wait, and then whatever he says, respond with beautiful, just beautiful. Gotta assume that after all this hard work we're putting in, Cloud's starting to feel the points rising, eh? Okay, Barret just gets 3 points. Then, before you leave calm, but definitely after the flashback, go talk to this woman. She'll tell you that Mako energy is trending or whatever, and you gotta tell her she's full of it. But not the girl upstairs though, she's got the right idea, so I completely agree with her. Do it for the 4 points, dear viewer. Do it for the points. So hey, now you're at Fort Condor, so you'll want to just do whatever they're asking you to, and then agree to help this old guy both times, but also make sure that Barret is with you when you do it. This will get you 10 points for him. Then bounce, because you know, you've got your own problems to deal with. I mean, birds sitting on mountain reactors? That sounds like a Disc 2 problem if ever I've heard one. It's suggested you don't go after Yuffie, but you know, do whatever you want. You're your own person, you're beautiful for it. When you get to June, and not an awful lot happens, really, to advance the values, not until you get to the cargo ship anyway, in which the whole process turns into less impressing Barret, and more into neglecting every female member of the team, the game. So to start off, if you've gotta, talk to Yuffie, and then don't give her a tranquilizer. Those things cost like 100, 200 gil, and you're not exactly made of money. She loses 2 points for a specific value too, but it's okay, I mean, she never really had much of a chance to begin with. Then go talk to Aeris and Tifa about their respective problems. Respond with I don't know to both of them, and that'll knock them down by about 2 points. Then just go about the ship section as normal, making sure that your party is Barret and Red 13 the entire way. So if you're like me, you've reached the Gold Saucer and you've probably forgotten you're even aiming for the date at this point. But don't lose sight, it's actually not that much further to go, only a few more steps. So because it doesn't affect any kind of values to do so, choose Red 13 to accompany you at the theme park, and make sure he's the only person you speak to. Work your way through all the bright and colourful distractions and find yourself in Corel Prison, you know, for fun. As always, make your party Red 13 and Barret and rinse through Dine. Ride some beautiful, majestic bird creatures to freedom and find yourself on the last and most brutal step of this little adventure. Gongaga Village. This is the only time you need to take Tifa and Aeris with you during this whole process, and the reason's simple. If you take him to see Zack's parents, they'll ask you about him, and the 2 girls will shy away and get really introverted all of a sudden. Now, the typical thing to do in this situation would be to console the 2 women, let them know that you care about them and value them as treasured members of the team, and that if they have any kind of problems, even emotional ones, Cloud will be there for the... Where's he going? Hey... Oh, right, that's it, yeah. I forgot what we were doing. You have to ignore them for 3 points each. And that's it. If you followed these steps and steer completely clear of Wutai at all costs, by the time you're rocking up on your second Gold Saucer visit, you'll be accompanied not by either of these lovely ladies, but the ruggedly handsome chunk of man that is part gun, Barret. And if you're on the PS4 version, you'll have a nice new trophy. Ding! I couldn't find a decent ding sound effect. And for all intents and purposes, this date's actually pretty funny. I mean, you get turned away at the stage play because you couldn't possibly be a couple. I mean, with everything else in the game, apparently gays don't exist. And yet, it gets a bit weird on the gondola ride when Barret just out of the blue accuses you of having the hots for his little girl. and then gets angry and starts shouting at fireworks. Ah, true romance. Whew. Okay, that took a long time to edit. I mean, I presume so. I mean, that's what the script says. Wipes brow. Hopefully it didn't take as long to watch. If it felt like it though, you might be interested in that too long didn't watch version I mentioned at the beginning of the video, way back however long ago this is. So if that's more your much faster speed, go check that one out. If you had trouble following along with this admittedly poorly written guide, there's still hope. I've written it down in much easier to follow steps in the description, so check that out and it should be helpful to no end. Anyway, happy dates everyone. Hope you enjoyed.